What's up, y'all? And my name is Ian Edwards, and welcome to the Soccer Comic Rant. And we're starting to do the podcast at the allthingscomedy.com studio. So this is not the first video one, but I'm just going to do this more often. And so what's up? We're here to talk Premiership, and you can get the podcast at allthingscomedy.com, SoundCloud, iTunes, Libsyn, Stitcher, and want to plug our sponsor. It's onthevolleyapparel.com, and if you go to the website, you can use my promo code ComicRant and get 20% off on tanks, tees, hoodies, and sweatshirts for female and men. I'm wearing one of the hoodies right now. This is the Wu-Tang symbol / soccer field, so they combine hip-hop with soccer. So if you grew up with both, this is perfect. So go to onthevolleyapparel.com, go to the website, boom, use my promo code ComicRant, and you could look fly as hell like I do right now. And I want to give it up for my co-host for the evening, Martin Harris. You've heard him on the podcast before. He writes for 442 Magazine. He's a comic. He's done it all. What's up, Martin?
Good to see you. Physically see you in the camera.
I know, right? I mean, now you got to deal with my handsomeness from all sides. Good
exactly,
luck,
and I just dealt with it over the weekend because I watched your show when you jumped from the top of the building. Or did I reveal too much?
No. It's just...
Yeah, friends from college recommended. Very, very funny. It kind of has this quality of the original Friends plus the comedy part, and it's really a cool show. So I watched all the 2 seasons in like 3 days.
Oh, dope.
Yeah, no, it's really good.
Yeah, I should probably watch it too. So I'm on a show on Netflix called Friends from College. I'm a writer on it, and let me put this mic down here. Well, I can't put it down there. I gotta find a comfortable way in the studio to do this thing. But I'm on it I'm in a few of the episodes, and I'm a writer on it too. So check it out. But yeah, we're here. We're gonna talk some soccer. We're gonna talk Premiership. This is week 25. And a lot of shit is going on, and teams at the top ain't doing what they're supposed to be doing, and teams behind the tables at the top are doing exactly what they're supposed to be doing. There was games midweek last week, or this week, kind of last week. Yeah, last week. So we're going to catch up on those a little bit, and let's just get into it with Liverpool, who is barely holding on at the top of the table after a draw with West Ham today, 1-1. And just overall, what are your thoughts on that? And I'll throw mine in.
Well, they're extremely lucky, first of all, and since they got beaten by City, they're barely either getting wins or points. Last 2 games, they got only 1 point from each game, and they probably didn't deserve a single point from this one, as the goal clearly from the offside position. I mean, the pass came from the offside position from Milner, and there was a little bit of a scuffle after the game, and I think a very funny response from not usual source of fun, Manuel Pellegrini. He doesn't seem to be the funny guy, but he was a funny guy today because he mentioned that this is the Klopp's way of getting results against him, because 4 years ago, exactly the same situation happened when Borussia Dortmund, or 5 years ago, Borussia Dortmund played Malaga in the quarterfinals of the Champions League, and in a very similar fashion, Malaga got eliminated. So he said that it seems to be Jurgen Klopp's way against him.
Offside
goal.
Well, it was an offside goal, for sure.
For sure.
James Milner, offside. But the defense... It's funny when you watch the game, the commenters, they're like, yeah, the West Ham defense switched off. No, they didn't switch off. Like sometimes a player, you got to give opposing players or teams with players who have skills, like credit for how they receive the ball, the moves that they make when they receive the ball, and what they do to put the ball in the back of the net. And, was it Mane? Definitely went towards it, then faked and let it fall to the other side of him. Both defenders went the wrong way, turned around, goal wide open, puts it in the far post and equalized. But I think surprisingly in this game, West Ham came out. Sometimes the underdog comes out hot, but they stayed hot. the entire match. They counterattacked. They defended well, but they didn't defend like a Burnley, like all hands on deck, everybody behind the ball. They had their share of the ball, and they fought Liverpool in the middle of the pitch. I felt Liverpool was kind of missing Wijnaldum a lot. Like, I don't know if he's injured or they just decided to rest him, but he's underrated, and I'm glad like one of the commentators at the end of the game mentioned that, because I've just been watching him grow in leaps and bounds throughout the last few seasons. Like, he's really belongs there, and you have to shoot one of his legs off to get in to take his spot on that team. And so I think they missed him today. And there was this excitement that Liverpool brings to games that was gone. Like, when they hunt in packs, when you get the ball as an opposing player, you get surrounded by three dudes like you're about to get jumped in an alley, and then you give up your money. Like, players from opposing teams usually give up the football because they don't know what to do. They're surrounded by all these skilled players. So I don't know why that wasn't the thing today. Why? Because Sala and Firmino and Mane and the other people in the midfield, like Henderson, they usually just crowd you into like coughing up the football to them, and then they would counter from like the middle of the field or the middle of the half of the opposing team. So there wasn't a lot of that today, and I think Klopp is kind of like coaching them more defensively than he used to, because he doesn't want to give up the goals that they used to when they had. But I think the balance of winning the ball back early and high is off, and the desire level today was off. You know?
Yeah, I think a couple of things. Like, first of all, you mentioned Wijnaldum, and I agree with you that he is a little bit underrated, but it also is because, as you remember, his introduction to English football was being relegated with Newcastle, and then he was also, unfortunately, one of the leaders of the Dutch national team when Dutch national team was really bad. So right now he's still on the team. The team is better because they have a lot of young talent. At the time, they didn't have much talent, and they lost every qualification campaign. So that kind of gives you bad rep. But I think he's slowly getting out of this, and my theory about Liverpool is because they lost only 6 points in the first 4 months of the season, and now they're losing a lot because of what happened against the City. I think they didn't win. They didn't lose a single game. They were kind of. There was this enthusiasm, this winning mentality, but they got tested against City. They lost the game, and since that moment, I think they lost some of their confidence as a team, cohesiveness, which is also partially because of confidence, and they're clearly not the same team. Since they lost to the City, they're clearly not the same team. They kind of think they thought they're unbeatable. Now they started doubting in themselves, or maybe we're not the best team in England, and it shows. I mean, if they don't win the title this year, they might not win the title in the next 10. Because it's just that it's their season. It's like with the Spurs 4 years ago. We missed our chance, and we had this conversation.
Did they miss their chance, or did Leicester take their own chance?
Yeah, but at the same time, Spurs were... And in opinion, I even talked to Marcin Wasilewski, who was on the Leicester team. He came here that's next summer, and we had a long conversation. And he's like, between me and you, and now I can say that because he's not on Leicester anymore. Between me and you, even we Leicester players knew that Spurs have a better team.
Yeah, but why does Spurs think they're entitled to that title? They're not entitled.
No, we're not. We missed it. No, that's a negative.
That was a wide open season for anybody who could get informed that year to claim. Like, there were better teams. Most of the teams in the Premiership were better than them. They almost got relegated the year before, but they just got it together.
Yeah, but that was the window for the Tottenham, and this is the window for Liverpool. They have to win it this year. Otherwise, City will be better next year. United will be better next year. Chelsea will be definitely better next year because they're bad for 2 years in a row. I don't know about Arsenal. I don't know about Tottenham, but at least City and United will be better. And Chelsea.
Like, this is going to sound, I mean, I don't want City to win it again. The only team that can beat them possibly right now. Even Spurs is in the you guys are not far behind. You have 57 points. You're behind because, so, you don't believe in you.
No.
But you don't want to believe me. I just think you're trying to protect yourself emotionally.
No, not this year. I was really up for the Spurs last 3-4 seasons. That's the first season where I think it's just not good enough.
The season where they have the best record at this point of the year, better than the last few seasons. Okay.
And that's the paradox of the situation. They lost 6 games, and they lost all the important games they played so far. They're just not good enough. They're not playing as good as in the last 3-4 years, plus they miss Harry Kane, they miss Dele Alli. I don't see it happening. It would be a fluke if that happens.
Harry Kane will be back. He's just taking his annual break.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Let's jump to Man City, who handled their business this weekend, and they beat Arsenal 3-1. And, what are your thoughts on the Arsenal 3-1 whooping at the hands of the professional, fast, attacking, calculated Man City coached Pep team?
Well, if you have aging Lichtsteiner playing on the wing against one of the fastest players in the world, then you set yourself up for a defeat. And I think Emery had his moments this season, but overall, I don't think he's performing very well as a coach of Arsenal. And I know that he's not popular with the hardcore fans, and especially not with the devoted Arsene Wenger supporters. Like, they really hate Emery. A friend of mine, Steve, who lives here in LA, he's a huge Arsenal fan, like a big time. He goes, like, in mornings, he goes to a Arsenal supporters pub to watch games. He hates Emery. He says that he destroyed the culture of the club.
The culture of the club. What is the culture of the club?
The beauty of Arsene Wenger's passing style.
They play attractive football. Like, I still watch them. Yeah, I watch all their games. I've missed maybe one game, and they still look attractive. I like Guendouzi, and it's just they need they need defense, and they have injuries there, and they need some men in the midfield, some goddamn men times
like Vieira
3, like Vieira, compared to what they have now. Like Torreira, I don't think he's it, or maybe he needs a year. But Xhaka, from what I've seen, if that's your solution, I don't think he's it.
Lichtsteiner, yeah.
And then here's your trouble: is Ozil. I'm confused. I can't even call this Ozil thing. Do you play him or do you not? As it's Emery. Is Emery gonna fall in love with this guy next season in his plans to go forward? And from the looks of what it looks like now, I don't think so.
Yeah.
My thing is this: Emery's first season, Pep didn't win in his first season, and Emery doesn't have the credits of Pep. So I don't expect Emery to win in the first season. I just expect him to just set his team up to figure out and learn what he has, so then next season, before the transfer window starts, he can be like, I need this guy, this guy, this guy. So he needs defenders, and he needs some goddamn men. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, here's the thing. I spoke, and we both went to see Vissel Kobe playing LAFC last week, and the next day on Friday morning, I had a long conversation, 2-hour conversation with Lukas Podolski, former Arsenal player, and we talked about the Özil situation because they're friends from German national team. They won World Cup together.
This is the situation with who?
With Özil.
No. Ozil?
Yeah, Ozil.
Oh, okay, yeah.
We talked about the situation. And Podolski, as a former Arsenal player and Özil's friend from German national team for many, many years, they won biggest trophies together. He said that he has to be on the team for Arsenal to go back to the Champions League. And at the same time, it will be unacceptable if they don't go back to Champions League. They weren't in the Champions League last 2 seasons. He was even, laughing. My home team from Cologne played Arsenal in the Europa League. They shouldn't be on the same competition. It's such a big club, such a huge club. So he said that for them, without Özil, it will be very, very difficult to get into Champions League. This guy like Özil can make a difference on that level. And I'll tell you this: from watching Emery in the last couple of months, it kind of reminds me of a David Moyes situation, because David Moyes had a solid start with United in the first 2-3 months, and then
solid like
sleeping.
This is way better.
I don't know. He's 6th in the league. It's not that good. It's not good at all.
I don't think Moyes had 47 points. I think when Moyes got fired, we were like 10th-ish.
You were 9th, 10th, but still, what's the difference? 6th or 9th?
I mean, the difference is when Moyes was at Man U, right? it the clubs, there weren't. There's definitely 6 strong clubs now. Now there's a varying in the difference of strength, but there's 6 strong clubs. Like, so Man U should have. And then here's another thing. Like, Moyes made some mistakes. He got rid of Phelan and all those people. And
yeah, exactly. Same situation with Israel.
The squad that was left behind for Moyes, that was a squad that was old, aging, and purely motivated by one of the best coaches that ever coached football. So it was a lose-lose situation. I think this is not a bad situation for the team is being rebuilt. There's a lot of new parts. There's a new coach, and the coach has to figure this thing out, like I said before, and then make it happen. And I think the good thing is they're in the Europa League, right? Is it Europa League?
Mm-hmm.
And Emery is a Europa League winning specialist, and maybe they could win it. And then the people who are against him will see how the team will go forward from there. But I don't think you should fire Emery. I think he's a better coach than Sarri because he's won things before. You know what I mean? Sarri's like, he's rolling through on the reputation of being at Napoli, where they played attractive football. They came, second?
Yep.
But Emery has won some shit. He's won more shit than Pochettino.
Yeah, of course, because he worked at PSG.
And he won at PSG too.
Although he lost the title.
He lost the title, then he won. But I don't even really count that as cheating. You could coach PSG.
Yeah, possibly. And he lost the title to Monaco.
But Monaco was good, and all the Monaco players are either at PSG right now or on City. Some on City and just all over.
And Liverpool won. Fabinho,
yeah. So they got bought up.
Yeah, I don't think Emery is a solution long term. That's why I thought about Moyes. I mean, he might work longer than Moyes, but I think eventually he's not going to be there for long.
I say to give him a chance. I kind of believe in him. Even though he looks like a criminal, his teeth are horrendous, and he looks like he's going to cry even when he's happy. I say Arsenal gives Emery a chance. And it's not as a hater who doesn't want Arsenal to succeed. I just like the fact that he had the balls to put in Guendouzi. He's 19, and that guy is going to be goddamn amazing. Emery has won more in the last few years than Arsenal has. So why wouldn't you give him a chance?
Yeah, it's a solid point, I guess. However, it's hard to, it's kind of a similar situation in terms of following somebody's footsteps. Like Ferguson worked 20 years, Wenger worked 20 years.
Wenger couldn't even follow in his own footsteps. They fired him because of his own footsteps.
But at the same time, he had a lot of supporters, people really who were Wenger enthusiasts, and for them, Emery is their worst enemy right now. So it's a lot of pressure. But I agree with Podolski on one thing: Arsenal shouldn't be out of Champions League 3 years in a row. If that happens, that it's a concern because that becomes a trend, and you can lose your superiority. It will be harder to attract quality players to come to Arsenal. The people still come and go to play for Arsenal, but if they, for example, have a choice between Arsenal and City, Arsenal and Liverpool, Arsenal and even Tottenham, that kind of surpassed Arsenal in the last few years, which I'm happy to see. But even, United are back and they'll be hunting for top players. It will be very difficult for Arsenal if they're out of the Champions League for 3 years to get real stars. I mean, Aubameyang, he's considered a top striker, but he's not the youngest guy ever. He's not. He will lose his value in the nearest future. It will be hard to attract, like they tried to get Mbappe, right? And maybe Arsenal from 12, 15 years ago would have gotten Mbappe, knowing that nobody pays as much as a league as the British league. However, of course, Paris Saint-Germain pays a lot. But Mbappe didn't even consider Arsenal, although he was a fan as a kid, as a child of Arsenal and Arsene Wenger. He didn't even consider Arsenal. He went straight to PSG. So it's a reason to concern that they might lose this aura that this is the team I might go to and win something,
Well, we'll see. I say give Emery a chance. I just want to go back to the game against Man City just for a second. I had a feeling after Man City lost to Newcastle midweek. There was no way they was going to let a loss to Arsenal at City happen at the Etihad. That was not going down. So even Arsenal must have known that, even though they put up a fight and they evened it 1-1. But Sergio Aguero went off. He got a hat trick or a hand trick because the last goal was kinda off his body / hand. 2 assists by Sterling, and they're just a better team. So they have a better team, stronger team, more confidence. The team is tougher, they're grittier, and that's the thing. Like Man City, Arsenal might have gritty players. Like I remember I listened to an old podcast me and you did a few years ago when Pep was going to come to City, and we was talking about the players he was going to get rid of, and half the players we mentioned are still there, and we thought they was going to get rid of them, like Silva, and because they weren't gritty enough, and they couldn't play Pep style. They could attack, but they couldn't defend and hunt people down and rob them. And those players were not young at that time, are even older now, and doing the job that they are naturally or organically not used to doing on the field. So Emery has to figure this out. He has to get the personnel, or I don't know what Pep does to make people into what he needs them to be, or why people I'm going to prove Pep that I can fit into Pep's system. Maybe it's all the wins, but Emery, you can't go into the locker room with tears streaming down your cheeks and motivate these people to be tough defenders. They're like, our coach is crying.
Yeah, but at the same time, they don't have really good defenders. At the same time, Arsenal really struggles. Like if Lichtsteiner at the age of 35 is your answer, who makes mistakes pretty much every game they play a top quality opponents, then it's a problem. They don't have a single really top class defender. Mustafi, who used to be, people were joking in London that he's secret Tottenham signing. That just wears Arsenal jersey. Mm-hmm. So definitely that's the problem. If you don't have good defenders and you don't buy one, I don't know if it was Paul Merson or someone else, but I was just listening to a podcast, one of the British podcasts.
But Arsenal has injuries. They got Holding is out. But
those are not top defenders. Look at City and Liverpool. Like Liverpool spent 75-80 million for Van Dijk, and it made a big difference. Then they bought Alisson, and it's a completely different defensive team.
They also changed their system up a little bit, Liverpool. Yep. Yeah.
But you also need this 1-2 defenders to build around it. Like they don't have that at Arsenal. The best defender is still Koscielny, and that's not good enough.
Scored today.
Yeah, sure.
Let's go down the table. Third team in third place, 57 points. They are 2 points behind Man City. You right in range, bro. You are 2 points behind the second place team, and you are 5 points behind first. There are how many games left? In the teens, you can get them. Spurs, and you beat Newcastle, and your favorite player, Llorente, had an assist.
Oh my God! For you, he had an assist. For me, it's just missed kick probably, and Son did the real job.
Did you watch the game?
I did watch the game.
So he chested the ball down and passed it to him with his chest. What's the problem?
No, I know, but he missed like an open header that was ridiculous, and it was the second game in a row he did that.
So did homeboy from PSG. He
did it too. Yeah. Yeah, he's coming back from injury, so and plus he already had one great game against actually United. I think in September, but it was September or August. Yeah. He had a great game against United.
I unfortunately remember that.
Although he's inconsistent, that's probably why he wasn't great success at PSG, because he has an on and off games. But now we count on him. Here's my problem with Tottenham. I think that's the worst they're playing in the last 4 years. This season, they already lost 6 games. Luckily enough, they won some games, in the last minutes. They actually won 3 or 4 games. Against Burnley, they won in the last minute. They won against Fulham in the last minute, and now it wasn't the last minute, but it was pretty much the end part of the game. And they win those games, so that's great. We'll be again in the Champions League. I just don't think quality-wise we're on the same level as Liverpool and City.
No.
And not even United at this moment, the way United is playing. Although because of the points difference, they might still finish ahead of United. But I think, no, champions of England, I don't see that coming, no. Not without Kane, Ali,
How long is Ali out for?
Ali's, I think, a couple of months.
What about Kane? March?
Kane March, yes.
He was at the Super Bowl. He looked like he might be back before March.
And that makes him my favorite athlete of all time because I also like the Patriots. So I didn't even know about that until Sunday. I'm like, oh, that's fantastic.
Right. I mean, I'm fine with him being a Patriots fan. I'm glad whenever there's any crossbreeding between English soccer players and Americans. I'm glad that they all get along and like they're fans of each other, and that even American football players are aware of like just any soccer star. I just think that's beautiful. But you guys won, and then here, listen. I normally want Tottenham to lose. That's straight up. But in the game against, what was it, Watford last week? Like I couldn't have been rooting for Llorente anymore. Like he had the game against Fulham where he
he's got an own goal. Yeah.
It was an own goal. It wasn't even his fault. He's coming in to replace Harry Kane. Son is gone, and Dele Alli was. I think is that the game Dele Alli got injured.
He got injured. He scored a goal, I think, for 1-1, but he got injured later. Yeah.
And it's like Llorente, and then Winks bailed him out, and then they win that game, and then you're like, shit, this guy has to play next week with that on his head. And then he scored, even though he blew some chances earlier.
He blew big time chances.
Yeah, they on yes. So I'm happy for him that he redeemed himself. And then this week he had an assist. Give him the assist. I'm gonna look up the thing and see if they give him the assist on the league. I'm gonna look up. It says let me go to. You played Newcastle, right?
Yeah, but all thanks to the fact that Son was so terrible at the Asian Cup.
They gave him the assist.
Oh, great! But big thanks that to Son that it was so bad with Korea in a national team at the Asian Cup, and I talked about it when we went to the Vissel Kobe LAFC game. There's my friend, a Korean journalist who works here in LA, and he was like, yeah, he's terrible for our national team again. And but thanks to that, they lost, and he could come back and to save us against the Newcastle. So well done.
I don't know if I believe that Korean journalist. I saw Son playing a World Cup. He was fine. I mean, it's South Korea he plays for. Yeah. They're not the strongest team.
If he was in North Korea, he wouldn't come back after a defeat.
Nobody. They're not even in the game. The tournament. Yeah. Qatar won, right? The whole thing. They beat Japan in the final. All right. So going back down to Chelsea, and Chelsea after 2 losses.
I just want to say one thing about Tottenham. I was a little bit disappointed with the transfer window that they didn't do anything. I thought they're going to at least get a loan deal. There was a discussion about Malcolm from Barcelona. We could use another attacking player, and it didn't happen. So clearly they tried to save up as much as possible because of the stadium situation. But I'm just worried looking long term because I always try to find those angles, like what happens if something happens. I'm just a little bit worried about Pochettino that he might okay, here is where I needed players, and maybe we would have a chance for the title. Who knows? With a little bit more players, with a little bit more support, if we get 1 or 2 players. But it didn't get any players, and that is unfortunate. It will be very, very difficult. They'll make top 4, so Daniel Levy will be happy with the top 4. But I think Pochettino wants a little bit more. He wants to win trophies, and we just lost 2 cups. So yeah. Definitely not getting a player in the transfer window was bad news.
All right. So back to Chelsea, all right? So after 2 losses, and especially midweek, the pounding from Bournemouth, 4-0, an embarrassment, and just unexpected. Bournemouth just took their chances, and they also played. They've trying to play more defensive. And they achieved that too. They like Eddie Howe, I think in an interview, is like, everybody knows we can attack, but now they're trying to, it took with Liverpool a while to with even better attackers to refine their defending. So Bournemouth is trying to do that. And the experiment worked against Chelsea last week. And then this week, Chelsea played Huddersfield and put 5 in the net. Higuain got 2, Hazard got 2, and who was the other one that scored? I'll figure it out.
No, that's it. Oh, David Luiz.
Luiz.
The last
shot. Got the 5. So Chelsea bounces back. Do you think Sarri has this team back?
No. And here's why not. Because he was complaining that he doesn't know how to motivate his own players. That was...
I think that was last week. Now he figured it out.
No, that was before they played Bournemouth. So the response from the players was being even less motivated.
No. He said that. I saw him say that.
Before Bournemouth game. After the game, before Bournemouth game. So
after
that was,
the after the Bournemouth.
No, before Bournemouth game.
I saw him say after the Bournemouth game.
And then he repeated it again. So clearly...
Repeated it again when?
After Bournemouth. Because he said it a week before.
No, he said... The speech he said after the... So there was the Arsenal game.
After the Arsenal game, yeah.
He didn't say he didn't know how to motivate them. He was mad at them, and he said that you need to either somebody has to step up as a leader, and that they don't have the thing that you need to be, I'm paraphrasing, to be champions. So either somebody has to step up as a leader, or you have to buy a new player or something like that. Like he didn't believe they had this thing that you need to be champions. That's what he said. And then after the Bournemouth game, he said what I think you just said.
Yeah, but it's not a good sign for him.
And then now they win this week.
Yeah,
5-0.
They win this week, although against the worst team in the league by far.
But you beat them by the amount of points you're supposed to beat the worst team in the league about.
Yeah, so I'm not impressed. It's not like I'm like, oh, Chelsea's now on the right track. No, I don't think they are on the right track. It will be hard for them to hand on to their fourth spot. That gives the Champions League because United are 9 out of 10. They won 9 out of 10 under Solskjaer. so definitely will be very difficult for Chelsea. Almost impossible to catch Tottenham because of the point difference right now. Almost impossible. So I would say it will be between Chelsea, United, and Arsenal. And I would say United are probably in the best position to get this fourth spot. And if Sarri doesn't finish top 4, it's a most likely arrivederci.
Right, that's possible. Yeah, he could get fired.
Because Roman Abramovich doesn't want to miss Champions League twice in a row.
Right.
It never happened, I think, under Abramovich that they would miss Champions League twice in a row. I don't think it ever happened.
Right. Well, I don't remember exactly the history of that. But what I do give them a chance to do, this is what I give Chelsea a chance to do. So now, Man City is playing a makeup game midweek.
Against Everton, yeah.
Against Everton, right? Mm-hmm. So I think they're going to beat Everton. But after playing Arsenal this weekend, Everton midweek, then they have to play Chelsea. And I think they're going to be too tired because everybody's resting, right? Nobody else is playing midweek.
Nobody else is playing.
So I think Chelsea can beat them there, which will be a reprieve for Liverpool. Just because.
Also, Champions League is coming back. So yeah.
Right. But just for this week, I just think Chelsea's going to be, like, Man City's going to be tired from the midweek game, and it gives Chelsea a good chance to beat them at next weekend.
They don't have to play their best team against Everton, though. Everton is not that good.
Yeah, but you can't take any chances. This is a Man City team that got beat by
Crystal
Leicester,
Palace. Yeah.
And
Crystal Palace before at home.
Yeah, so it's like you and they need the points. So you actually do. You do have to play. You can't. I mean, to be honest, Everton is not beating anybody above them. Now Wolves is above them. They couldn't beat Wolves this week. So you're right, but do you want to take that chance?
No.
Yeah, you don't want to take that chance. I just think you're going to be tired. So
I mean, I'm all for it. I want City to drop points for sure. So that would be great. But at the same time, I'm not that confident with Chelsea, and I think Guardiola has a superior system to Sarri's system. I think they will expose Sarri's deficiencies, especially defensively. So it could be a draw, but I don't see them winning against City. Really,
I think they could beat them just on legs. A week's rest. And maybe if his words did get through to his players, we'll see.
Yeah, let me ask you this, though, because I think that's the key to this answer. Now they have Federico Higuain. They missed like a top-level striker, and Higuain is considered a top-level striker, although I personally think it's a little bit more of a reputation than the real the real.
He had a lot of goals in Syria. So.
Yeah, especially for Naples. But like they let him go from Milan. He wasn't really producing in Milan, and they let him go before from Juventus and Milan.
Just because they got Ronaldo. And they had surplus.
Yeah, and now they got Piontek, Milan, and Piontek scored 2 goals in his first 3 games, the Polish guy, and people already saying that Piontek is much better than Higuain ever was for Milan. So, and he played 2 games for Chelsea before this one and didn't really do much, and now he scored 2 goals against Huddersfield, sure. But is he really the difference maker? Do you think he can be a difference maker for Chelsea in finishing top 4, not finishing top 4?
I don't want them to make top 4, but I think he's better than what they had.
Mm-hmm.
So
I agree.
So what do you? That's all you can hope for.
How much better?
He's going to score some goals.
Okay.
He's going to score some goals, and he's going to distract some people, open it up for other people. Before, you could switch off a little bit, or not be 100% attentive to Morata, or they didn't even have another guy. You have Giroud, but Giroud is just like a defensive midfielder playing forward for you. He ain't gonna, you know what I mean? He's just gonna knock the ball,
Starting forward for France when they won the World Cup, though.
Was he, or was it?
He was, yeah.
Well, was it?
He didn't score a single goal, though.
Was it Griezmann?
I mean, Griezmann was behind Giroud, but Giroud was starting. Yeah.
Yeah, I just think that's just a formation thing.
Yeah.
We all know who the real forward was.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's go to real football. Number 5, Man United, 48 points, 2 behind Chelsea. We finally moved up a spot since Solskjaer got there, and we've won 9 games out of 10. We had 1 draw, and that was midweek against Burnley. But this was an uncomfortable 1-0 win against Leicester. Like, you ever seen Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom?
I did, yeah.
And the thing with the snakes? I think somebody was in the snake pit. That's how I felt this entire game. Like, I was in a snake pit and snakes were all over me. I need to get out of it before I got bit. And that's how Leicester made us feel this game. Like, they had almost the same amount of possession. They created pretty much the same amount of shots and chances, maybe more. And we scored a beautiful goal, but then they kind of fought back and had moments where they took over.
Well, Leicester are a dangerous team.
Yeah.
They just took 2 points away from Liverpool a week before, and they beat some really, really good teams.
Yeah.
They're a very, very dangerous team, and they play the Spurs actually next weekend, and it will be a difficult game for the Spurs. Although I think we've kind of got their number in the last 2 years, so I think we'll actually probably beat them. But anyway, it's a dangerous team, and they have Maguire in the central defense that caused problems for you guys in the past.
He almost had a goal at the end of this game to tie it up.
Yeah. So another great win for Man U, and they're a completely different team since Ole Gunnar Solskjaer came on board. So I would say the only concern would be if they decide not to give him a chance next season. So that would be a problem. But hopefully they will, because he deserved it so far.
He deserves it. Like, listen, they hired professional guys who they consider professional coaches to do this very job, and they couldn't do it. Like, Moyes couldn't get this record. Van Gaal couldn't get this record. Mourinho couldn't get this record. And this guy has this record. And I agree with them not giving him the job yet. Because sometimes I see them like, a coach wins 3 games, and they're like, now you're hired. No, I want to keep this guy motivated as he's motivated his players to be. Like, I'm in no rush. So let's keep him motivated so he can keep his players motivated. And then I don't care. Everybody keeps comparing him to Matteo. They're like, well, Matteo won Champions League and then he lost. But you keep forgetting about Zidane. Zidane won Champions League. He came in mid-season, replaced Benitez, and then he won 2 more.
And what about Thierry Henry and Monaco? Oh, sorry, wrong example.
It is a terrible example.
I know, I'm joking. But I will tell you this.
Because it's not a replacement. And, Thierry Henry...
I mean, he started at Monaco as a player, so he technically came back to his old team. But it's different, though. His best times were with Arsenal, for sure. And for Solskjaer, his best times were with Man United. And I think it's always a plus, and I think it gives you kind of an extra motivation and extra strength as a coach when you work for the club you really have in your heart.
Yeah.
And Solskjaer is a Man U guy through and through. So why not? He's someone who really cares. He's not a hired gun. Mourinho was a hired gun. Van Gaal was a hired gun. David Moyes was a hired guy.
Pochettino would be a hired gun. He doesn't have this in their heart. Like these players.
I mean, Pochettino is there long enough right now. So I would say Pochettino is a Tottenham guy because he's there for almost 5 years. You know, so that's a little bit different.
Are you saying this because you're a Podge fan, so you want to keep him, which is fine. Like,
yeah, but
I don't want him either.
He's there long enough. You know,
but I'm supporting. Yeah. What I'm saying is.
Yeah. Like Mourinho for me is a Chelsea guy.
Pochettino is a hired guy. You know what I'm saying? The key word you're saying is this guy, this coach, has this team in his heart. The players who are there, the roster of young people there they came up, like he coached some of them, you know, in the youth ranks. Like they grew up watching this guy. So they want to play for this guy. Like there's players on our team that aren't good enough. Like Pogba's good enough, Rashford's good enough, but I got questions about Lingard. As much as I like him, I don't know if he's good enough. Like Sanchez is playing for him with what little left of what he's got. But
unbelievable. Only in 2 years he became like a forgotten man.
What he's done so far is not good enough. Lukaku. He was out there the other day. They brought him in off the bench. Hey, man, to be a good soccer player, don't admire your work. If you make a pass to somebody and they're going to score, keep moving forward. So because ricochets happen in football. How could you not be looking for ricochets? Like I saw Lukaku take a shot, right, and stand up and watch the shot. Keeper saved the shot and parried it wide. And it's like, if Lukaku had kept moving, he could have went and retrieved that ball and put the offense, the defense of that other team back under pressure. I wanted to point this out for the West Ham game, how Chicharito was just fucking arguing and complaining when he made mistakes to play it off as if he didn't make that mistake, or if he took a shot, or he doesn't, like, you got to move. Man City players keep fucking moving. They never stop moving. Like, you got to keep moving and be ready to pounce. And it's like crashing the boards in basketball. You know, the person who gets the rebound is the person who keeps believing that ball will be alive. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's one thing. But the other thing is also that Solskjaer sort of put players in the right places, because Rashford was playing, sometimes wasn't playing for Mourinho, sometimes was coming as a sub. Now he's clearly his number one striker. I mean, he's clearly the guy making a difference in terms of scoring the most important goals, in terms of like making runs. But also Pogba really plays on a completely different level than under Mourinho. It's not even close. It's 5 times better.
Well, it depends on, that's another thing. So I said this last week. Players are like, some ex-players, they're like, well, you know, he didn't play well under Mourinho. So is it because he kind of tossed in the towel and wanted to sabotage Mourinho? And let me tell you something. Pogba has never sabotaged any coach he ever played for, including Mourinho, because people want to say he didn't play well under Mourinho, but he won at Juventus titles. He won for France World Cup, right?
Almost as a leader of the team, yeah.
And went to the Euro finals. And the team Man United, that he hasn't played well for the coach, he still won 2 titles. 3 if you want to count the chat. So that's how good of a player he really is. Even when he and the coach don't get along, he still has fucking won for that coach. He won the Charity Shield, he won the League Cup, and he won the Europa League. Mm-hmm. And
scored a goal, I think, in the final.
Scored a goal in the final, one of the goals, and came second last year for the coach that he's not having a good time with. So anybody that wants to say Pogba's a sabotager, you're not looking at the whole thing. You know, you're not looking at the whole thing. Yeah, he actually, and the reason why he's playing better is because we count football in goals and assists. If you're a defender, we count it a different way. If you're an attacker, you count it in goals and assists. But when your coach tells you, stop assisting, stay back and defend, because that's what we want to do. If you're the player and you listen to the coach, then that's what you're going to do. This other Solskjaer's like, attack, go forward, be a part of our offense. And he's listening to this coach and he's doing that. So that's what the difference is. No, don't doubt Pogba. He just won the World Cup in the same year. So it's crazy what people are saying out there.
Yeah, and I agree. And he won a lot of people over. I think he was criticized for his first season. In my opinion, his first season wasn't best, but then he adjusted. Plus, he also plays in a position that
he won the Europa League.
But he plays also in a better suited way, where he can showcase more of his skills. So he was kind of lost a little bit under Mourinho. In
so
terms
that's
of
bad
tactically
coaching.
Lost. Yeah.
And even with bad coaching, he still won 2 titles.
Yeah, there was even a rumor under Mourinho that they were ready to sell him back to Juventus, and that didn't happen. So
yeah, I heard those rumors.
Yeah,
that's when you know. So Arsenal, we passed them. They're
and I think that will be pretty much done from now on. I don't think Arsenal will go back to top 4. I think Arsenal is done.
Yeah, I hope they'll stay there. So
they'll stay there.
They lost. We discussed it earlier, 3-1 to Man City. And I hope their bad luck continues to give us some breathing room above them in the table. They play Huddersfield, who just took an ass pounding.
Who's pretty much out of the league at this point.
Yeah,
no coach, no nothing.
Yeah. It's basically a championship team playing in the Premiership right now.
Yeah, like Wolverhampton 5 years ago.
So, speaking of Wolverhampton, as you disrespect them, they are 7th. They've won 3 in a row.
Yeah, they're good.
Just beat the shit out of Everton, 3-1, handled them. Baines gave up a penalty. And Baines, you have to trust your teammates. Yes, the player from Wolves got ahead of you, right? But standing right in front of him is it Zuma? And also ahead of him in the box at an angle was Gomez. Like, he has to get past them. Stop panicking and fouling somebody from behind just because they passed you. You got help. Trust your teammates. So that's how Wolves went ahead when Baines fouled the player and they got a penalty. But just Wolves is just like this guy, this coach. First of all, it was Portuguese against Portuguese coach, right? Mm-hmm. And Marco Silva, everybody's bragging about this guy and saying how great he is. And it's like, I never believed in him. And if you want to pick a better or real Portuguese coach, it's this guy on the Wolverhampton bench who, before he even started in the league, said, we ain't here to circle no wagons and just scrounge around like crabs at the bottom of the ocean and eat the shit that's left behind from the tables of the top team. We're here to get ours and compete. And right now, they are 7th.
Yeah, they beat the Spurs at Wembley. Yeah. They beat the Spurs at Wembley. They won against City, I think, as well. Or at least had a draw against City. I don't remember exactly. But I know they're playing very good football. They're probably one of the best promoted teams in the Premier League history. They play like a veteran team. They don't play like the team that is for the first time in the Premier League for a while. They have a bunch of Portuguese players already attracting top teams, young players, Ruben Neves, Diego Jota. They both young and very talented and still on the upcoming guys. They'll still get better. They have this Mexican Jimenez who is scoring a lot of goals. So absolutely, they're a complete team on this above average level. And Everton, with their resources, should be in a better position, and Wolverhampton showed the difference. I mean, well-coached team versus not so well-coached team with a lot of individual talent but not really well organized, because on paper Everton looks good. It should be like the guy who scored a goal for Everton is the former Barcelona player, although he wasn't the most popular Barcelona player. I know Barcelona fans who hated him.
He's Portuguese too. And he's playing against his childhood teammates, playing against goddamn Wolves.
Yeah.
Everybody from Wolves is pretty much Portuguese.
Or Mexican, yeah.
Yeah. So, I guess I kind of lost my train of thought of what I wanted to say. But Wolves, definitely a dangerous team. They play Newcastle coming up next week. I'm gonna give this. I just believe in Wolves. I'll give them that. And they play Newcastle at home.
Although Newcastle are playing well now for a month or so. They're really playing better.
They're dangerous.
They're dangerous. They defend very well.
Yeah. Watford is next. They lost. They tied with Brighton Hove this week. Brighton Hove tries to get points when they can, and they got some against Watford. And Watford stays 8th in the table. Solid. What, solid or?
Brighton solid team. Watford, the most unpredictable team, I would say, because they can get a result, and they almost beat us. I mean, they almost beat Tottenham and in the midweek.
Yeah.
They're a very dangerous team, but at the same time, sometimes they lose points when you don't expect them to lose points, and they can win games when you don't expect them to win games. Overall, very good season for them, though.
Yeah, good season for them.
Because a lot of people before the season were saying that they're one of the main candidates to go down.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Right.
Like on paper, they're not that strong. If you
wrong
look at the
about
roster.
that.
They don't buy anybody. They don't spend money really on transfers.
Yeah, well, they're above Everton, who spent all this money. And what happened to Yerma, the Colombian player? Like, I didn't see him. And how come he's not in the Everton defense? Everton's 9th. They have 33 points. They're 1 point behind Watford. But I don't see Jeremy Yerma. I think that's his name. He's the big, tall Colombian. He scored 3 goals in the World Cup. And then recently, he started a few games for Everton and scored.
Mina,
yeah. Yeah. Where the fuck is Mina?
Maybe he's injured. I have to check it out. Yeah, I haven't seen him for a while. That's true.
Yeah, so it's weird. I don't know what Marco Silva was doing over there. I like I've said this before. They spend a lot of money, but they buy name recognition sometimes.
Yeah, but
they're not good shoppers.
I would say, that's part of the problem. I would say even bigger part of the problem is this team just doesn't play well together, because individually they have a lot of talent. Richarlison is having individually a very good season, and
I don't even think he's having that good of a season.
He's starting for Brazil after.
That's because he started the season hot, but I'm like, that's pretty premature. It's like there's some players playing for England just because they, like Barkley plays for England now, just because he had 3 good games for Chelsea. Mm-hmm. I was like, I don't believe in that. But I don't know. Like you said, they're not cohesive. They don't play well together. There was one play
conceding a lot of goals.
Yeah, like Davis lost the ball on one of the goals.
Yeah,
and he kind of trotted back to make it look like he was trying, but he didn't like, oh shit, I just lost the ball. Let me go chase this motherfucker down. He did not do that. And then they didn't score. Wolves didn't score on that one, but just the way he was running back. And for a young English player, that like one of the goals that scored he scored 2 years ago, made me. He registered with me. I was like, I'm hoping that this guy becomes a good England international. Now he's just far off from that.
Very far off, and even having one of the best goalkeepers in the league, they're still conceding so many goals, which tells all the story. Baines is clearly much slower, lost a step, and they're just not playing well as a unit. They're conceding a lot of goals. Tottenham scored 6 against them. Now Wolverhampton scored 3. Should have scored more than 3. And Wolverhampton are not a high scoring team either. So they're a well organized team, but not a super high volume scoring team. So that tells you that it's just their defensive games is very, very bad.
Yeah, I just think Wolves won the battle of Portuguese coaches. And listen, man, even though the Wolves coach looks like a blacksmith from Game of Thrones, or the killer from Scream, the fisherman, they just need to put on like the boots and the yellow raincoat and give him a hook. And he'd be like, that's the guy that did it. But he's doing a great job. The murderer from Scream is doing a great job coaching in the Premiership. That's all I can say. And let's try to go through real quick because we've been here for a minute. It says Everton is Bournemouth. And they just won 2 in a row, but now they lose to Cardiff. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, it was an emotional game, though. Before we go into the game, we have to, prayers and thoughts with the family of Emiliano Sala and the pilot of the helicopter that was found. The wreck was found 2 days ago with the body inside. So it's an unbelievable tragedy.
I'm going to try to bring it up. Keep talking.
Yeah, it's an unbelievable tragedy. a young guy that was a very talented striker for Nantes. He goes back just to say goodbye to his old teammates in France and jumps on the board of a small plane to go back to England and start playing for Cardiff City. They who spent like I think 12 million, probably the most expensive signing they ever had on the Premier League level. And hoping that he will save them the Premier League for next year and that he will be the new star in making. And Neil Warnock, who is the coach of Cardiff, met with him a few times. So he was also lamenting about what happened and that it touched him personally, like everybody else.
Yeah, I never thought Neil Warnock could cry, but Jesus Christ, he was tearing up at the end of that game.
Yeah, no, it's unbelievable tragedy, and it tells you, how vulnerable human lives are, because that's the second time this season that something similar happens. The owner of Leicester City died in the helicopter accident. Now it's in another plane accident. I just, you ask yourself if you can prevent those things from happening. Like why wouldn't team that spends $12 million for a transfer make sure that he's on a safe trip back? Of course I don't want to blame anybody, but you have to be more careful. But you have to be careful. I mean, if you fly a small plane in a bad weather, this is just nature. The things happen, and there was a terrible video actually posted by the website of the biggest Argentinian newspaper, with the last message recorded from the board of the plane when Emiliano Sala was calling his family.
Oh, look at this right here. This is the wreckage from the plane, and they said it has been found, and they said there's a body in there. It was discovered on the seabed in the English Channel in about, a little bit surprising to all of us, we expected to find
David Ibbotson. That was the pilot. That's his name. Yeah. So. Rest in peace. Yeah, and terrible tragedy, and especially this video posted by Clarin with last words from Emiliano Sala that he's scared for his life, that something wrong is happening. Like he could feel, and maybe he died like 5 minutes later. We don't know, but it's something very disturbing, and it's tough. It's tough. I feel really my thoughts are with the family of this young kid who was about to start maybe his real big career in the best football league in the world, and it never happened. He was never allowed to score a single goal. And in the emotional farewell, Cardiff fans were like, we didn't see you scoring goals, but you will be always in our hearts, which is a very, very nice and touching thing to do.
You finished with the memorial? Bring this thing down?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. No, it's tough because listen, like you think about those moments. It seems like those football stars, they're untouchable, But then
I don't think that
plane goes down and that's it.
I don't think that. I think from the moment you're born, and it's not to sound like hardcore. Like he has family and people are going to miss him, but from the moment you live. You're going towards the day you're going to die. So, lucky for him, he was like living his dream as a football player. Like if that was his dream. And it got cut short and he didn't get to make it throughout the entire dream. But at least he was on the path. And dying in a plane is goddamn terrifying. So, that's something that I definitely wouldn't want to happen to me. But I want to look at the positive parts of his life,
True. He scored some goals in France, and he was a really promising striker. I mean, you don't spend 12 million for someone who can play. So definitely.
Some teams do.
Even more, yes.
Yeah, even more. So let's not even say that.
For how much Fellaini went to China?
Oh, yeah. Peace, Fellaini. Have a great time in China. And I'm not going to shit on you. I thought you did good for our team, and I felt like even if we kept you, you'd be decent as a holding midfielder for us. So I ain't gonna shit on Fellaini. So Cardiff, congrats on your win against who were we talking about? Bournemouth. Yeah. It's a shocked win after Bournemouth's past few results, and that's a great way to respect Sala.
But by the way, say one thing about Bournemouth. They have a Polish goalkeeper, 39-year-old, who came back. He didn't play for 2 years for them, and they reinstated him a month ago. Boruk.
Why didn't he play for 2 years?
He was a sub to Begovic. Begovic was the first choice, and it looked, because he also retired from Polish national team, it looked like he's almost retired. But now he's got second youth, and he was a man of the match 2 weeks ago. And it's I'll tell you, it tells me one thing.
If you take a 2-year break, you're gonna be well rested. You're gonna be able to do some shit.
But I'll tell you from my own experience, because I even covered him in Poland, working as a reporter 12, 13, 14, 15 years ago. It's kind of ironic, sometimes you hear about professionalism, diets and living certain lifestyle, going to bed 10 p.m. and some of those players never make it. Boruk, all his life and all his career was drinking too much, smoking cigarettes after games, and he's 39-year-old and killing it in Premier League. I mean, you never know.
After a 2-year break, yeah. After 2 years of not working, time
but
off.
with the lifestyle, and the way he eats and the way
he might not be eating and drinking like that anymore. That might have been when he was younger.
Not really younger. He was kicked out of Polish national team 3 times for drinking, so...
He must have been drinking a lot, because Polish people already drink a lot. Like, how much more was he drinking that they say you?
Maybe he was very unlucky, but I don't think so.
You're out.
2008, Leo Ben-Hacker kicked him out because he was drunk in Ukraine, and then he was kicked out after being drunk on a plane by an ex-coach. So, yeah. And then, again, he was in the middle of a drinking scandal 2 years ago when they were fighting for World Cup qualification.
Well, at least he's consistent. God bless him.
A great guy, though. He's a great guy. I have to say that. He's a really great guy. So
you say he's a great guy because you interviewed him.
Not just everybody knows him. He's a heart of the party. He's smart.
He's a great drinker. That's all.
Very intelligent guy. Very eccentric. He's, I think, married to a reality star / singer in Poland.
Most soccer players are married to reality stars.
No, but he's a character for sure. Big time character.
All right, West Ham is 12th. They got 32 points. Couldn't see the screen for a second. Like I said, tied with Liverpool. They get a point. So, you know what's crazy? When I was watching this match, when the announcer started talking about all the players from West Ham who are injured. And I already thought West Ham had a good team, but they really have, like, Lanzini's out. Mm-hmm. Walcott's out. Mm-hmm. And then, what's the French guy?
Wilshere.
Nasri.
Walcott is on Everton.
Wilshere, yeah. Nasri is out.
Nasri is out now?
And it's like...
he just got in.
He just got in.
And he's out.
Your body's recovering from not using steroids.
Yeah.
So then it's like Pellegrini has some good pieces there.
Yeah,
and so
he's a good coach.
Next year, and I think he's a good coach like you do, West Ham...
Arnautovic is still there, I guess, right? Yeah, he is.
They should just get rid of him.
He apologized.
I know. They should just make that money. Get somebody...
Oh, no, sorry. He didn't apologize. He said that he was misunderstood.
All right. I understood him clearly. That's all I got to say. I understood him clearly. And then they got Carroll, and then they got Chicharito, who was...
Zabaleta.
Yeah. Nah, let's... Come on. He's... Talk about old. Talk about wine not aging well. And I like Zabaleta when he was younger, but it's like having Liechtensteiner. It's like... But they have a good set of players with experience. So I'm expecting them to move up the table. Not that much. There's not a lot of room. But, and Pellegrini get the hang of this thing. He's a good coach. They played well against Liverpool. They played... he's a good coach. And they're not trying to sit back and circle their wagons. They're trying to attack you too. So, and it could make for some attractive football in the future.
I agree. And West Ham, they have money. They have a stadium. And they have a lot of following. They should be better. They were underachieving for years. And so they got this reputation of being not very good team, not a stable franchise. Then they had this Slaven Bilic era that you can look at two different ways. He was extremely popular with the fans, but he lost, and he had one very good season. I think they finished 6th or 7th. But other than that, there was no stability on the team. Right.
And then Payet wanted to be out, so he was injured, and then he wanted to be out.
And that really ruined West Ham for like 2 years, I would say. Yeah. So that's why they were afraid.
And Mitrovic, who's now on.
No, Mitrovic was on Newcastle.
He was on Newcastle.
Yeah, he's now on Fulham.
So he was never with West Ham.
No.
Oh, okay, all right.
They had Carroll. They had who was before? No, that's it.
That's it. All right.
Arnautovic.
That's just my made up imagination. All right. So Brighton Hove, we talked about them. They got a draw. They got a piece of Watford. They're in 13th place. Good job, black coach. Keep doing your goddamn thing. Stay in this league. You're performing above and beyond, and your team is listening to you, and they're putting in good shifts. Coming up, you got Burnley, that's going to be tough because Burnley has kind of been rejuvenated, and it's not the earlier the season Burnley. This is now Burnley. And Crystal Palace, I'm just trying to go down, versus Crystal Palace is in 14th. They beat Fulham. No Zaha. Bentaki's back. And they got, is it Batshuayi they got over there?
Yeah.
Yeah. That seems pretty... even Crystal Palace should be doing better.
Yeah, they should be doing better.
Yeah.
They had their moments.
They have their moments, yeah.
They got some good results against better teams. They beat Man City, for example. They're capable of single good performances. I think they just don't have enough defense, and they have more attacking talent, so they can score some goals. But I don't think they're defensively they're very good.
Right, and then they don't always score the goals that they need to score or could score. Yeah. I think Zaha is overrated.
Actually, Zaha was their best player in the season, but they just had this stupid red card recently.
Yeah, but even before that, he went so many games without a goal last week. Yeah.
He was with you guys. Yeah.
We didn't get rid of him we sometimes make mistakes of getting rid of people or losing Pogba, but Zaha now couldn't be a Man U player. We would not be happy with him. He just went 14 games, I think, without a goal over at Crystal Palace.
Yeah, and couldn't do that with us. That was the reason why Spurs didn't buy him, because they were strongly linked with Zaha. There were some negotiations going on, I think, in the summer about bringing him to Tottenham.
That would have been terrible.
And it didn't happen in this transfer window. Nobody brought up Zaha anymore. I mean, that was close in July, August, and it wasn't close at all now.
I think he's too egotistical to be a player. I think he has some flair plays, and then the commentators glob onto that, and they think that's who he is. But those things are rare and far few in between. The way he got the red card the other day was like arguing with the ref. And it's like, hey, man, think about your team, bro. Think about your team. I think he's just too selfish and immature to be as good as he can be.
You know who reminds me? He reminds me of one player in particular who was also kind of a difficult guy and big talent but underachieved. Zaha is on the path to kind of go in his footsteps. Jermaine Pennant, you remember him?
Yeah.
Kind of reminds me a little bit of him.
Yeah, I remember Jermaine. And Jermaine went from highs to low. Because then, didn't he win Champions League with Liverpool?
I think he was on the team. I wouldn't say he won the Champions League as a...
Because wasn't he at Spurs first, and then he went from
he was with
Arsenal, then he went to Liverpool, and then he went...
Leeds, I think. He was in different teams.
But we got to look it up. But he was all over the place.
He was a million teams, yeah.
Yeah, let me look it up.
And there's another guy, Ravel Morrison, right? Jermaine Pennant.
I like to spell it wrong, and then Google spells shit right for me. Let's see.
Yeah, he's only 36 years old. Played for 15 different teams. Yeah, 15 clubs. Look. Oh, my goodness. Arsenal, Watford, Leeds. Yeah, he was at Leeds. I remember when he was at Leeds.
Yeah.
Because they were still in the Premier League. Birmingham, Liverpool. Yeah, they won the Champions League.
Yeah, he won the Champions League. He was effective. He was on that team. I remember that year. So, yeah. So that's crazy when you win.
Now he plays for Billericay Town, whatever that is.
I'm afraid to check what country that is. Town FC. Where is that?
I have no idea where it is. Let's go back.
The internet doesn't even know where that's at.
Let's go back. Sixth league in England.
Oh, it's a pub team.
Yeah.
It's not Yeah, he doesn't. He's just doing that for fun.
He's 36 years old. He shouldn't be doing things for fun. He should be in like MLS as a star player.
Well,
or China.
He's not.
No.
Yeah, but yeah. So I don't know Zaha, but Pennant had good spells. I wouldn't even give him Zaha the credit of being Jermaine Pennant. I wouldn't even do that because he's so inconsistent. And every time, I only see highlights of him playing unless he's playing one of the top teams. And it's always a good play or a card. I'm seeing him in the highlights or arguing or just, it's like there's too many players arguing. You need to play more. You know what I'm saying? Or he's diving and then arguing why he didn't get the call because you're a bad diver.
That's why he got the red card because first he was so stupid. He got two stupid yellow cards.
Yeah,
it made no sense, and he had like craziness in his eyes.
Yeah, it's like, hey man, your whole team's on the goddamn field. Stop being selfish. The less selfish you are, the better player you will be, man. Stop all this fear-based football. Did we do Newcastle?
No, but we should because I think Benitez is making wonders there. I mean, it's a perfect team for him. He probably, Real Madrid was a little bit too big for him at that time. He didn't fit in well with that particular group of players, but I think he found his niche with Newcastle, and he's doing an incredible job this year. With limited resources.
They bought some players.
They bought players now, but he didn't have a chance to play with them. We'll see what they can do. I mean, Almiron, don't get me wrong. I mean, I watch MLS. I really pay attention. I especially paid attention to Atlanta United, and I've been to Atlanta several times.
And they won the league.
They won the league, and he was their best player. He was their MVP.
How many goals did he score for them?
Oh, a lot, and a lot of assists. In the fantasy league, he was killing it. Like without him, you wouldn't be able to do anything.
So you think that just off the top of the dome, you think that is going to translate to?
Not sure, but it might because of Benitez, because I think he has an experience of working with players like that, and he's still a very young player, and that was a transfer record in the MLS history, a little bit short of 30 mil, so that's a lot of money for an MLS player. He's a very gifted playmaker. Like he's the guy they need because John Joe Shelby was their playmaker in the past, and that's not good enough. And plus, John Joe Shelby is unpredictable and gets moments of craziness once in a while. And Almiron is a very nice guy, very quiet, but on the field he delivers. He scores goals, he passes, he can dribble. He reminds me of Silva a little bit.
Oh, Silva?
Yeah.
That would be great to see that translate to the Premiership. So, listen, I've never been a fan of Benitez until he got to I kind of was a fan of his at Liverpool because he did the unbelievable. So for a moment there, and he made that team really strong, and they beat Chelsea in the league at a time, and in the Champions League at a time when nobody could beat Chelsea when Mourinho was there.
Yeah, I mean they didn't win the league, but yeah.
They didn't win the league. I'm just talking about they beat them when they were just a unbeatable force. But I definitely did not like him at Real Madrid at all because he tinkers too much. I feel like he has the habit of tinkering, but there are certain teams you need to tinker with. You don't tinker with the teams that have players and has a system that works. You tinker with the teams like this that are undermanned and underskilled. They need your thought and your detail and all your insight to move the parts around. So this is perfect for him. That's why now I kind of like him.
No, I agree. And even if like Newcastle fans love him. Mm-hmm. They hate the owner. They think the owner is responsible for the problems because there was a moment when Newcastle, I think they couldn't win 10 games in a row or something like that. But nobody blamed Benitez for that.
It's funny. If you're a Newcastle fan, right, you hate the owner. You went down. The owner, before you went down, the owner hired Benitez. Then you went down. He kept Benitez. Then you back up. Then they're like, you need to buy players. He doesn't buy players for what 2 years?
Yeah, finally he bought players.
But finally he bought players. Mm-hmm. So it's like, it kind of gives you what you want way after you're supposed to get it, but he still got you in the Premiership. Like, what do Newcastle fans expect and want that they're not happy with? Because you're in the Premiership, you have Benitez as your coach, you just spent some money. So what do you want? Why should they be happy now? do they not realize that they have everything they want, or do they really? It's just an illusion. They don't really have what they want.
But it's also kind of an aura around the Newcastle owner. Even Alan Shearer is very critical of him, and he's got a really bad reputation, bad press. And I talked to. I can't reveal too much because it's not printed yet. But I did an interview with Frank de Boer, former Crystal Palace manager, who now is a new hiring by Atlanta United, and it will be in the new additional 4-4-2. And he reflected on his time with Crystal Palace when he was fired after 4 games. He says that some clubs in the Premier League are scared of losing £120 million from TV rights the next year, so they don't want to build something for future. They just want to avoid relegation at any cost. And it looks for me like this guy who is the owner of Newcastle United is scared of going down again, so he finally decided to spend some money and calculated, okay, so I would lose 120, so I would better spend 50 or 40 just to get those players that will keep us just right above the relegation zone. But still, I don't think there is a long-term plan to make Newcastle, which is has one of the highest base or supporters in England. It's one of the most supported teams in England, one of the most historically supported teams in England, with huge fan base. I don't think there's a long-term plan to make them one of the best teams in England.
Right. So they want to be one of the best teams in England, and they don't think disown the fans. Right.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. So I guess I forgot what I wanted to say, but so I guess I get it. They want to be better than they are.
Much better.
And they're not. And it hurts when they look at other teams that they consider they're on the same level as, achieving more than them.
Yeah, but I mean, they're big. They have a big club mentality, the fans. Right. They think they're a big club, and they feel like they're not playing and building towards future as a big club.
What did they win?
Not in the last 10 years, but before they were even trying to win a Premier League a couple of times, and they almost won it once against Manchester United. They had like 11 points ahead of them in the middle of the season, and I think in 2002, something like that, when Shearer was on the team. Yeah.
I know they were decent with Shearer there. Yeah, and I know if they're going back to the Kevin Keegan years, but they have to let that go. That was just a moment in time. That's not.
They still think that's what they are. They still think that's what they are.
You're not Ginola. You're not Asprilla.
But they still think they belong there.
Who else is there?
Ginola, they had Asprilla, they had Shearer, Philip Albert.
They had some other people too.
Les Ferdinand, right?
Maybe. But it was a star-studded team. They played beautiful football. They scored a lot of goals. And I think the fans are romanticizing those players and that coach, which you don't have. And was it the same owner then? No, right?
No.
So, all right.
And they had a moment 6 years ago when they finished fourth, I think. Or fifth, sorry. They finished fifth in the Premier League under Alan Pardew. They had Dembaba scoring a lot of goals.
And then they sold the players, wasn't?
They sold the players.
Yeah, they sold the players.
They got, I think, relegated next year or so. Yeah.
Hey, man. All right. So that's Newcastle. They're in 15th place. Southampton, they keep grabbing points. They've got points in their last 5 games. 2 of them were wins. 3 of them were draws. They got a draw.
New manager's doing a good job.
Burnley. And the new manager, if you want to get a manager, go to Germany. Is he German?
Or Portugal. Actually, the highest numbers of foreign managers in the last 5 years in Premier League is Portuguese.
Yeah, but I think the Southampton guy...
He's either Austrian or German.
I think he's from Bundesliga. I think he's
I think
he's the Leipzig coach. He's the Leipzig coach.
I think he's Austrian, actually, or German. I think he's from Austria.
Yeah, but I think he's the ex-Red Bull Leipzig coach.
That's the guy. Yeah, that's the guy.
So that's the guy. Yeah. So, my homeboy Lee, you guys are like... You got 24 points. Your Cardiff is the next team in the relegation zone that can catch you, and you're 2 points above them. Just keep grabbing points, 1 at a time, 3 at a time. Just keep doing it, and by the end of the season, this guy's definitely motivating these guys. They're getting more points than they had before, and they're above the relegation zone by 2.
And Redmond is playing fantastic last couple of weeks. He's really
He scored this week too. Right?
He scored a great goal, and he was a former England player. I mean, he played for England a couple of games, so
Right.
he's a big mercurial talent. Not many people speak of. Like shows flashes of greatness, but sometimes he just disappears for a few months.
Yeah, I don't trust players like that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
A borderline England player. Player.
That's how like Walcott was, like flashes.
Yes.
Yeah, but I'd just rather you be consistent. Burnley, 3 draws in a row.
Peter Crouch, they bought him, and he played. Mm-hmm. He played right away, and he I think assisted in the goal.
Against
so
Southampton.
He's immortal. He is immortal. Peter Crouch.
I don't agree with that, but I'm shocked that they bought him. You know, I'm really shocked that they bought him.
They didn't have a single striker, so they had to buy someone.
I mean, there's nobody better. I like Peter Crouch, but there's nobody younger and better in all the leagues, in all the world, that you go back to Peter Crouch. How much did they pay for Peter Crouch?
I would assume not that much. And because they have Ian Hart, maybe there's some sort of a sentimental thing going on that they want to bring old England players that they're on their last legs. Maybe they'll bring Pennant as well. I'm trying to go back to where's my bad eyes? Burnley, Southampton. Let me see if this assists. It was a penalty, right?
It was a penalty.
Yeah, he hit the guy in the hand. Yeah, Crouch.
So Crouch was fouled?
No, I think he hit the guy in the hand, if I remember correctly.
So Crouch gave up the penalty.
No, he got the penalty. He won the penalty for him.
So that's what I'm saying. So Crouch was fouled. Are we playing who's on first here?
I think I think what happened. I don't remember. Either he was fouled or he kicked the ball and somebody handed the ball. One of the defenders, something like that.
Oh, it was the one where both hands were up. Okay, I remember that now. Okay, I got it. I remember that. So, all right. So Crouch was involved. Maybe the guy got threatened by his height and was desperate to make sure Crouch didn't get the ball, puts his hands up.
He's a big guy. It's hard to look over Crouch.
So he can't, I'm just going to let that slide. Cardiff, my cousin's team, they got a win. We talked about that.
Yeah.
And they beat Bournemouth, and a sentimental win.
Yeah.
And
they still don't have a striker, which is sad. They don't. Right. They simply don't have a
next
striker.
Week, they got to go
one old Murray, that's it.
Yeah. You'll get your chance to get your stuff in. Just let me finish saying what I'm saying, sure. And you say. And next week they play. Wait a minute. So Southampton played Cardiff this week at Cardiff. No, they played Bournemouth. And then this week they play Southampton. And now, what were you saying about Cardiff?
Yeah, I mean, they still don't have a striker.
Right.
Yeah.
So let me ask you a question about this. And this is kind of stone cold of a question. So you paid a team, you're Cardiff, and you paid a team for a striker. He signed, right? You gave them the money.
Yeah.
The player comes, right? Says hi to the club, does picture day. Is that what happened?
Yeah.
And then he gets back on a flight to go back home, to get the rest of his stuff and say goodbye to his team, right? And then, so when he was on his way back, or...
No, I think I'm back.
Back. So he's on his way, he made that trip, and then he's on his way back, and then he dies. So do you lose 15 million?
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
Holy shit.
Unless you're insured. Maybe he was insured, and then they don't, depends.
Cardiff, a team that doesn't have a lot of money, not only loses the player that was going to save them.
I'm sure there's some sort of insurance, like we live in 21st century, people are insured for everything, at least athletes, are.
But for that, we should look that up. That's an interesting question.
I don't think everybody brought it up because of this sensitivity.
It seems insensitive, but I'm just curious.
I would assume there will be some sort of. I don't think Nantes will give the money back for sure, not but maybe there was some sort of
because
insurance.
Nantes loses a player too.
Yeah, and they have a Polish owner, by the way.
So what does that mean?
He is known because, okay, I'll tell you kind of a little funny story about him. When I was still working with the biggest Polish newspaper, he was coming to. There were always rumors that he's watching this and this Polish player, and I remember I went to my editor one day that Waldemar Kita, owner from Nantes, is coming to watch. At the time, Sebastian Mila, okay, which was a youngster, a good young Polish player. And the editor is like, he's coming for the last 20 years, he never bought anybody because he doesn't like to spend money. So he's known from not liking to spend money. You know, he's like a cheap owner. He's known for being a cheap owner. So I'm sure he's not giving any money back.
A Polish guy owns Nantes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's a crazy scenario. It's like I'm sure I don't even know what to type in to look it up, and I don't want people. It looks heartless typing shit in, looking for it.
But I'm sure people will start talking about it. I'm pretty sure Nantes will not give any money, and
that's when it's going to look like. But they sold him, and he signed, and he took the pictures. Yeah. So Cardiff is just he flew. He flew back, and he's on his way back to start playing for you. It's Cardiff responsibility at that point. That's what it feels like.
Yes, and I mentioned it before when we talked about the whole thing. You know, why you allowed a player to fly on a small private plane in the bad weather? That's just irresponsible. It's irresponsible.
But I think people do that all the time. I think that's a European way, and then this.
But I don't hear about players traveling that way a lot.
That's because they never crash. Like he would have done this, and we'd have never even questioned. He would have done this, landed, and we'd have never questioned.
You know, with small planes, when there's a bad weather, small planes are always very vulnerable. Like even yesterday, I saw on Twitter that a plane crashed here in LA with like 6 guys because of the rain. It was a 75-year-old man flying one of those, and they crashed into a house with 4 people in it. So another tragedy. But
it's just like, small planes fly every day and nothing happened to them. So it's
over a Gulf Channel. I mean, it's risky.
Risky. I don't know. They do it every day.
If I just spent 12 million for someone, I wouldn't send him in a small plane. That's what I'm trying to say.
What's the name of that great American aerial guy that flew around the world?
Bronson?
No. Do you know his name? Yeah, and his son got kidnapped.
Oh, yeah, Charles Lindbergh.
Yeah, this ain't no Lindbergh, like, travel. This is just a few miles across the British Channel. There's a train under there. That's how much.
Next time they would take a train, I'm sure.
Yeah, I mean, I know one thing. What's the Dutch player that never wanted to fly? Bergkamp.
Yeah.
Sure, you know. I mean, this is some shit that can happen. I'm not blaming anybody. It's just
not blaming, but you know, you try to be as prepared as possible for situations like that.
People can die in car crashes, bro.
They can,
and
but you limit the risk. You limit the risk.
They die more in car crashes than on these small flights.
But still, that was an old plane and only 2 people on board. I mean. Somebody made a mistake. It's just the way it is, you know. Like right now, with
how
the
do
technology,
you know? Did you check the engineering?
No, but it comes from his own words, from Sala's words, last words that were recorded. He's like, "We're stopping. The engine shuts down, and then it goes back, and then it shuts down. It goes back. I'm scared for my life. I'm scared for my life." You know, so they were clearly having technical problems.
Right. Exactly. But
yeah.
I don't know, man.
You check the engine, you know, like all the biggest tragedies, usually it's a technical issue that could be prevented, you know?
That's the thing. I don't know. I can't blame anybody on that. It's just...
If something is wrong with the engine, would you go on a ride to Vegas? You know, you probably wouldn't. You would probably get, that fixed before.
I fly as little as possible.
Yeah.
So that's just me, period. You know, I'd be on the road a lot more. I'm actually starting to take flights more, and I do not like small planes.
Yeah,
small
I
passenger planes, like those propeller
them.
ones. Like if you're going from like upstate New York, or just from Rochester, from New York City or Kennedy to Rochester, all those small planes. I don't know what their names are, but they're not any DC anything. I just don't like fucking around with small planes, period.
Yeah.
And I don't like, I've taken helicopter rides, and I don't like those.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's just, I just don't like them.
Leicester owner, like he won the EPL, but he's dead now.
Yeah, but did they ever find out what that's about? He's flown that thing so many times. Fulham. So Cardiff is like 18th.
Mm-hmm.
They got...
The last two teams are pretty much done.
22 points.
Both Fulham and Huddersfield are done, in my opinion.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Well, Fulham...
You play Fulham, I think, on the Saturday.
Yeah, we play Fulham on Saturday, so hopefully we could just put those away because we're gonna need those points. We need to stock up these points and get the thing on the lead on Arsenal, and then Huddersfield. They're just like after 3 losses in a row, they lost to City, they lost to Everton, and then they just got jumped by Chelsea. And is their new coach there yet?
Where?
At Huddersfield.
They're not going to be any new coach before the end of the season.
They got their new coach. They got
I think it's the interim coach.
They hired him from Germany, from Dortmund's second team.
Yeah.
But is he there?
A good question. I have to check it out.
Yeah, they hired him. But if he's there, he's not doing anything. I don't know when he's coming in. But why would you take a job for
paycheck?
No. But why? I haven't seen them talk about him as if he's there, and you're making me question if he's there and coaching, and these are the results that he's getting. Is he? Did they hire him? I don't understand. I have to look it up.
Yeah.
But they're not doing great.
One thing I know, Claudio Ranieri for sure is at Fulham, and the karma for not letting Tottenham win the league is catching up with him.
Hilarious. You think that's what that is?
No, it's a bad team. It's a really bad team.
Yeah.
And they're going down, and rightfully so, because they can't defend.
They have 17 points. Not going great.
How many goals they concede? I think my bet is over 70. Is it over or under 70? I would say it's a little bit over 70.
They've only conceded 50 goals. Slow down.
Okay.
It's only 50. They're only minus 30 in goals.
Okay.
They've scored 17 goals. No, that's not a lot. They've played more games than they scored.
Yeah.
That is crazy. They've scored 17 goals in 19 games. That is so crazy.
And they have attacking talent. Mitrovic, Sessegnon, now they have Ryan Babel.
It's crazy because if you just watch highlights, you feel like Mitrovic is scoring sometimes 2 or 1 goal a game. And then you look at this thing, it's like, they only got 17 goals the entire Premiership season.
Maybe he's scoring more than the entire team.
Yeah, he is, but still, you'd figure when everybody else chipping in something, they'd have more than 17 goals in 19 games. That's pretty terrible.
All I know, Mitrovic got relegated with Newcastle. Now he's getting relegated with Fulham. So
he's bad luck. But he also helped bring Fulham up. Yeah,
so that's his level. Top of Championship, down of Premier League, but you're not gonna win the league with Mitrovic.
I think he's one of those guys that'll be better on a better team. He needs to be actually on a better team.
I'm not sure if he's versatile enough. I think he's just making runs, but he's not really doing much. He doesn't really create anything. He's just finishing some chances. I don't think he's a complete player.
He's one of those players where his head is his foot. Like he just scores with his head. It's like he plays head ball, not football.
Pretty one-sided.
Yeah, but I have a feeling that he might be better on a better team. Like he scored a lot of goals last year in the Championship. I see him scoring it, but I guess not as much as I thought because they don't have that many points or that many goals. And Huddersfield, they have 11 points. They are just like pretty much. They're playing so bad. They're at the bottom of the Championship while they're in the Premiership.
Yeah,
that's how.
And that might happen. I mentioned recently when we talked that there's a great documentary on Netflix about Sunderland, and they went that path. They went from being last in the Premier League to being last in the Championship and going down to League One. So it is a possible route. It happened several times in the last 10 years, and it might happen again with Huddersfield. All
right. So that's the league. Let me just do some of the top scorers. Mo Salah has 16 goals in the Premiership. He's top. Aubameyang from Arsenal has 15. Aguero just had a hat trick. He's got 14 goals. Kane, injured. Ain't going to see him for a minute. He got 14 goals. Hazard got 2 goals. Got 12 goals, 10 assists. That's a lot of assists. That's pretty decent. Mane got 11 goals, 1 assist. I would figure that Mane had more. I've seen him. Some of these things are deceiving.
Yeah, he makes runs. He plays for the team for sure.
Yeah, but I would just thought he had more assists than just 1 in the Premiership. And Raheem Sterling has got 10 goals, 9 assists. I hope this is the up-to-date one. This is BBC. When is this? I think this is now. So we'll just run with this. All right. I don't want to hold our engineer any longer. And you tired? I'm okay. You okay? All right. Let's get out of here. Martin, thank you for coming. You want to plug anything?
Sure. You can find me on 442 Magazine. I'll be coming to a lot of LAFC games this season, some Galaxy games as well. So see you there. Say hello. Ian, I think, will join me for a few games, and I'll post on my Twitter, Martin W. Harris. I also do some shows, so please come to those. And I'm coming to New York next month to film a hockey movie, so I'll tell you more about it once it's done.
All right, good shit. And so I did go to an LAFC game. This was my second one, and it is live over there, so I will be back. Shit is lit. Like when I posted the pictures of the 352? Mm-hmm. The LAFC chanting group, like online, even people in Europe that follow me on Instagram was like, where the fuck was this? This looks like us. So you're doing a great job of like creating the right atmosphere, LAFC. Keep that shit up. You're dope.
But you know why it looks like us? I'll tell you.
Yeah, tell me after I say my thing. Like, I didn't interrupt you when you said your thing. Jesus Christ, man. And then also follow me on Instagram at Ian Edwards Comic. Follow me on Twitter at Ian Edwards Comic. And also go to CD Baby. Check out my album, 100% Half-Ass, produced by Conan. And tell your friends, subscribe on iTunes for the podcast, or go to allthingscomedy.com. And what were you going to say, Martin?
No, the story with LAFC is a very interesting one, because before they started, supporting the team in LAFC, LAFC sent them paying for the trips to Germany to observe Borussia Dortmund fans. So they took a lot of antics from Borussia Dortmund and their songs even.
Yeah, we told it. Yeah, we told that story on there before. Yeah. So yeah, but fine. All right. Thanks for having you. Thanks for coming through.
Thank you.
Anything else?
No, that's it.
All right. 1.